All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Shake and Bake podcast presented to you by the 606 Conservative Network. Um, and first off, I'd like to wanted to eat crow, as Nate says, and give congratulations to Chase Elliott on his championship victory over there. I know D-Train's happy. So I picked him as my dud, and I got to be honest, when I picked him as my dud, I know D-Train's a big old Chase Elliott fan. I just wanted to get him tore up a little bit, and it worked. Uh, but I'll have to eat crow on that one. My dark horse, my guy, he didn't do well. Alex Bowman, he finished. I don't know. It was an awful race for him that day. All the good equipment went to Chase anyhow. So, and my winner, he did all right, but he didn't. He didn't come away with the win. I think that was Nate's winner too. Brad Keselowski let me down. I figured he was going to come out and win. Let me down. So, Nate, I'd like to get your thoughts on the championship race as well. So, go ahead.
Well, I am so glad we was wrong because I think everybody watching, unless you was a Logano or Keselowski fan, you were all pulling for Chase Elliott. NASCAR for years now has been searching for that next big thing, and I think we've seen it take the championship on Sunday. It's pretty cool to watch it. Felt like I was watching something we're going to look back on. It was awesome watching Jimmie Johnson come up and uh, give him a high five in the car. It was everybody. All everyone's been saying has been how he's like passing the torch on to Jimmy or to Chase, and I thought that was awesome. I thought that was great. Championship race. I'll be honest with you. I think it's amazing, and it shows you what work that these teams put in those final week cars for that final race. Because the top four almost all day was the championship four, and that is awesome. That is awesome. And hey, Chase Elliott come on to win my dud was going to be Denny Hamlin. It pretty much lived up to. He pretty much was a big dud. My winner was Brad Keselowski. He, they had speed all day. I think they just got messed up a little bit in the pits a little bit, and that's just a factor of this new system. I'm not a fan of that one race win all, but it makes things exciting for fans for sure. I think I had my dark horse was Eric Jones, and he was pretty much a non-factor all day. So pretty typical. Anytime I pick somebody like that, but whatever. On the D train.
Yeah, so really exciting day for me, of course, as Chase Elliott took home the championship. I was a little nervous at first when he had to drop to the back because of a penalty, but I mean, before the competition caution, he was already back into the top 10, 30 laps in the race. So that just showed me he has a great car in traffic. He has a great car, and they kept building it. But really, where I listened to the scanners, Allen didn't have to make many adjustments at all to that car. I mean, they brought it off the truck ready to win that race. Chase also talked about how much better he could tell and feel that them Hendrick motors are getting better and better. He could feel the power in those motors, and that's a good sign for years to come with Hendrick Motorsports and the young team. Um, at first, Joey Logano started off really strong. I think late his car went away from him. Brad Keselowski showed he had strength at the end of stage two, passing Chase Elliott. But I don't think Chase really forced the issue there. I think he let off a little bit, let Brad go on, get a little confidence. But I think Chase knew that he had the car to beat that day. I was a little nervous when Chase pitted under green a lap later than the 22, and that 22 got out with like a 2-second lead. So I was a little nervous, but I mean, 5 laps later, Chase is beating his bumper off to pass him, and that just shows you how strong his car was and how ready Chevrolet was for this race. Because Chevy has struggled the last few years, but that just shows you that they're ready to compete again. Um, so exciting day. Young driver, 24 years old, wins the championship. Last time 24-year-old won the championship, it was my last favorite driver, Jeff Gordon. This one's more special to me because I was a little too young for all of Gordon's 4 championships. Wasn't into NASCAR, wasn't old enough. So now I've got to support a driver ever since he's come into the Cup Series, and to see him win a championship was a pretty exciting day for me.
How crazy was it though that all year, after watching the races, all we talked about is how awful Chevy is. In the season, Chevy parks it in victory lane and takes the championship. That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll say this. Chase won 3 out of the last 5 in the playoffs, and that shows you when a driver is a champion. That team was hitting on all cylinders at the end when it all counts. That's just like basketball and football in the playoffs. When you are hitting your peak in the playoffs, it's the right time to hit your peak because you win championship. And also, my dark horse was Jimmie Johnson, and he finished 5th and to end his career, and I think it was the good ending to his career, a great career.
Yeah, Chris, I think that we can definitely say D-Train won our pick'ems this week. He had the championship guy and he had the dark horse finishing 5th. How awesome was it? Jimmie Johnson got a top 5 on his last race. Awesome, and I guess I could say this too, Chris, and we'll get you in on this here real quick. Let's comment a little bit about NASCAR's next superstar. I think there's a lot to be said about Chase Elliott in the fact that he don't just barely win races. He don't just lead a lap and finish. And he literally at Martinsville, he was toying with the field. He was literally just slowing down just to save his car because he knew if there's a caution. Or he done the same thing here this weekend. Wow. It has been a very long time since we've seen a driver the capability of Chase Elliott. A lot of drivers are vanilla. They're there, they can drive, and they get the job done. They get top 10s and they get top 15s. But when they don't have a winning car, they don't win. They just play. Some guys come in and they elevate their car 7 to 10 positions over what they should be. And Chase Elliott's one of them guys. Watch out in 2021 for Chase Elliott. All those road courses, wow.
Well, you're saying watch out for Chase Elliott in 2021. Daggone. He's finishing top 5 in about every race this year anyhow. He was showing that he's a real good driver, and he ended up in victory lane. I think I got a good explanation for that. Not only is Chase Elliott a really, really good driver, I think Chevy was listening to everybody talk bad about him all season. I think Chevy was saving their best for last.
I think you. Look how my guy Kurt Busch. Look how he ran the last 10 races. Kurt, he finished top 10 top 10 to 15th pretty much all year long. A few top 10s, a few top 5s, and the championship come along. The last 10 races in the playoffs, buddy, except for a bad race here, a bad race there, at Texas blowing up, which I bet gave Chevy a heart attack. But he had an awesome playoffs, and he's a Chevy driver. Look at Austin Dillon at the end of the year coming on strong. Wow. Alex Bowman on strong. Any of those Chevy drivers at the end of the season had their best time of the season at the very end, the last 15, 20 races.
You had 3 Chevy cars in the final 8.
Look, guys, right now, and we'll talk about the season, I'm sure, after this. But look what the season ended on. We used to, back in the spring, we was thinking if there was going to be a race, we knew it was going to be a Ford or a Toyota in victory lane. It was either going to be a Penske car or it's going to be the 11 because the other Gibbs cars pretty much was non-existent. And at the end of the season, yeah, they had speed, but literally Chase Elliott gapped them by about a second the whole last little bit here of the season. So I think it has, and you look at Gibbs, we think of Gibbs as being the best team in NASCAR across the board. They got the best drivers. It's hard to argue they have the best drivers, best crew chiefs, best equipment, and what they do this year. The only one that really won more than one race was Denny Hamlin. At the end of the year, he was non-existent. Where'd he go the last 10 races? He went away. Kyle Busch won one race, struggled to get that race.
That's classic.
Martin Truex. Denny Hamlin is a choker, and I hate that because I like Denny Hamlin. He deserves a championship, but he's a choker. Let's just be honest. And then you look, Mark Truex. He won that one race. And he had a time where he got like two second place finishes like several times in a row. But I mean, look at Penske, D-Train. You want to talk about Penske a little bit? Look at them. They've got one guy that's kind of Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski, two of those guys. Where's Ryan Blaney at? Ryan Blaney went away at the end of the season. He limped into the postseason. What's going on?
Well, he got really. I think he could advance, but his little pre-race inspection failed. That bumped him all the way down to 40, and then he got knocked out of a race. I mean, that kind of done him in. So
I want to say this real fast. I was watching the Dale Jr. download his podcast. He had Chase Elliott on after Chase won the title, and Dale Jr. never got a championship. He was kind of in the category with Denny Hamlin that he choked him away. He could have won. But he said, some drivers like it when it's easy. There's no pressure. But once pressure hits them and they're in like must-win situations and stuff, a lot of drivers will fold away from that. And then you got some drivers that have confidence no matter what when they go to a racetrack. They're in a must-win. They're like, we're going to do this. It's going to be fun. And I think that's what separates you from being a champion and being a choker.
That's the Brad Keselowskis, the Jimmie Johnsons, the Jeff Gordons, the Joe Logano's, the Kyle Bushes. That's kind of, yeah, you're right. You're on something there, D-Train. I mean, look at Dale Jr. was definitely one that folded. I mean, Dale Jr. was, you look on the stat sheet, Dale Jr. was a good driver. He was actually a great driver. Yeah. With the wins and stuff he had. He was a great driver. But the stars never aligned for him. He was always fighting from behind.
You got to also think about who on his team was dominating at the same time. He was caught behind Jimmy and Jeff Gordon, and it's hard to beat both of those guys every single race.
Yeah, but I'm talking about back before he was there, Hendrick, when he was at DI. I mean, in 2004, he all but was going into those last few races in the lead and wrecked a Corvette, and it just destroyed him. I mean, hey, Dale Jr., I'm telling you, you're right. It's hard to live in the shadows of great drivers. It really, really is.
Sometimes though, like it's something you can see a lot in like just not even NASCAR but the sports. When you have a dad that's really, really successful and really, really great, that pressure to automatically come in and just be as good as he was or better can hurt those guys. And honestly, I'd say Dale Jr. had to deal with that a lot. And when I first got into NASCAR, Dale Jr. was my guy. Like, that's who I liked. Just because back when I was younger, I always seen sometimes Papaw would watch it. Maybe if nothing else was on TV, it'd be on there. And I was real young, and you'd had Dale Jr. on TV, and everybody be talking about Dale Earnhardt. So I was like, well, and I got into it a couple years later, and I was like, well, Dale Jr. is going to be my guy. But that pressure of his dad being there, a 7-time champion, I think got the better of him a lot.
And that's what helped Chase Elliott win this race. So people would quit saying, "Oh, he's riding his daddy's coattail. That's why he's got a ride in NASCAR." So he's now a champion. And the funny point is, I didn't know this until this week. Watching a bunch of videos of Chase Elliott winning the title and stuff. That Hendrick Motorsports signed him under contract when he was 14 years old, because Hendrick knew that he was going to be the next big thing for his team. I mean, you sign a kid at 14 and he don't end up driving for you until about 18, 19? That's a pretty big deal too.
Especially in racing, because you don't really, in sports, racing's a thing where, you can drive these little lower tiered series. You can drive go-karts, stuff like that. Those little quarter minute, you can drive all those little bandoleros, stuff like that when you're younger. Like basketball, football, you're in Little League, you're in, doing like team sports, stuff like that. NASCAR's different. Sometimes you just got to go off a gut feeling. And I wish I had Hendrick's gut feeling, because he's had a pretty good gut feeling on some stuff. So, I mean, he is the first guy to really give young drivers a chance. And look at his team now. Look at his team. I think Kyle Larson is our age. He's like 27. 27 and younger. is what his
He's like
drivers are now.
30, I think.
No, I think he's my age. He's at almost 30.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Kyle
almost.
Larson be
He's
the oldest.
20.
Kyle Larson be the oldest, and Alex Bowman's the second oldest, and Alex Bowman be turning 28.
And then you got Chase 24 and Byron 22. It's a pretty impressive lineup.
I don't think Byron's going to be there for too much longer. He's got a lot of pressure on him.
I think there's a lot of pressure on him. I think Byron is a great driver, and I do. But you got to look like we talked about with Dale Jr. He's living in the shadows over there. He had Jimmie Johnson there. He had Chase Elliott, Bowman. Bowman's a solid driver you can get. If I had a guy, if I were on the race team, and my guy went out, if Alex Bowman was available, I'd be picking him because you can guarantee you he'll get you the best out of your race car.
I'll tell you this before we go on to the next segment. I know we need to move on, but I do think this new crew chief for William Byron is going to really help him. It was his crew chief in the Xfinity Series. Jack Nelson's a hard crew chief to work for. I mean, he's a 7-time champion, but if you ever listen back to the old, scanners and stuff of Jimmie, I mean, he's tough, and he demands perfection when you're in there driving the car, and I just don't think William Byron was up for the task at 22.
And Byron had to feel so small getting in that, like filling those shoes of Jimmie. And I know he wasn't filling the shoes. Jimmie's still driving there. But when you're driving for somebody, Jack Canals, guys, is the winning. If I'm not mistaken, he is the winningest crew chief in NASCAR history as far as the championships go. I mean, he's just as big of a star in the sport as Jimmie Johnson is, in my opinion. And I tell you what, William Byron this next year coming. We'll talk about it when we do our preseason show. But this is make or break year for William Byron. He has got a great crew chief in Rudy Fugle. He won a lot of races with him in Nationwide or in the Xfinity Series. And if he don't perform, it's either put up or shut up with him. So that's what I think. I like him, and I'd like for him to get on a good team, and he's on a good team, but I'd like for him to stick around because he's a good guy.
All right, well, someone that y'all have talked about pretty much all the drivers, except one that I was really honestly surprised with, who was a really massive disappointment this year, and that was Kyle Busch getting his first win in the playoffs when he was already knocked out. Don't know what happened there. Don't know why he struggled so bad. It looked like a lot of bad luck stuff happened to him after winning that championship. But I'd like to get your thoughts on Kyle Busch real fast, and we'll move on.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, do we know kind of what his finishes were, like the first 4 races before COVID happened? Like, do we know what they were? Could somebody be looking for that or something and let me know? Because I think that goes to show you, Kyle Busch is a good driver, but if it don't feel good to him, he ain't going to drive it. He can't drive it. Some drivers get in there and they can take a car that's driving worth crap and can wheel it. And can show you that Kyle Busch, he has to have his cars feeling pretty good for him to do good. Because no practice, no qualifying, you can show the drivers that are like rose to the top and the ones that kind of sank down a little bit. I think Kyle Busch is a great driver. I think
I got his first 4 here. Daytona, he finished 34th. Las Vegas, he finished 15th. At Auto Club, he finished 2nd behind Bowman. And at Phoenix, he finished 3rd. And he had some good finishes. I mean, he got a little bit stronger as the year went on, but he could never get up there into that one race.
Yeah, I just think it had to do with that practice and qualifying. I think that, and honestly, I think Kyle Busch needs a new crew chief. That's just my opinion. I don't think Adam Stevens and him has really got along that well. And I just think he needs to change. But that happens a lot, guys. If you go back and look in NASCAR, the driver wins a championship that year after, it's usually a dud. So it happens. But hey, watch out for Kyle Busch. Do not ever count out Kyle Busch for anything. I can tell you that.
I agree. I don't think he is fully. Seems to me he's not fully capable of telling his crew chief how to adjust his car during the race, and it's surprising to me, him being a champion driver, because a lot of these drivers are really good. I mean, they can explain to their crew chiefs, what's going on here, what's going on there, and they can get in and get it adjusted and fix their cars up. And I just don't think Kyle Busch has done that, which we know Kyle Busch. He's going to sit there and complain and talk about how bad his car sucks and how he can't do nothing and this and this. And, that's just how it goes. But I think no qualifying, no practice has affected him. But don't be surprised if NASCAR doesn't do more of this, no qualifying, no practices. I mean, and just like listening to all these shows on NASCAR this week, they've talked about how good it's been for these drivers. Most of them, they get to spend more time with their family, not have to spend 4 days at a racetrack and then go home for 2 days. And I think it's made the competition better. I think it's even the playing field. Everybody's in there adjusting their cars and battling out, and I think it's actually been a good thing for NASCAR.
I think so too. I think it kind of you race what you bring, race what you build. That's kind of back to the old school NASCAR. You kind of build the car, go race it. Build the car, go race it. And talking about what D-Train was saying there about Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch. I've been a Kurt Busch fan since 2005. Kurt Busch used to be the same exact way. He would cuss, he'd moan, he'd groan, he got mad. He couldn't drive a car. It wouldn't drive perfect for him. He'd freak out. As the years got on, you notice that Kurt Busch he had to dip down and drive for the 51 car, James Finch, and that kind of makes you have to communicate a lot better. Kurt Busch is great at giving good information, telling like what's going on with the car. I think Kyle Busch will come around on that. That comes with age, and he's you got to look. Kyle Busch is still not old at all. He's still a young driver if you look at him at his age. But he just has to settle down and be able to tell. You're right, D-Train, about that. I never thought about that, but that's a good point.
And I'll add this on real fast too. I think to be a champion driver in a time like this, when you don't get to qualify, practice, you got to have a champion crew chief. I'm going to tell you, listening to Alan Gustafson on the box for Chase the whole year on the scanner, that man knows what he's doing. Chase don't have to explain everything, this and this. He explains, man, my car's too tight or my car's too loose, and they go in and he makes all the adjustments on the box and he gets that car fixed up, and that's why you've seen Chase finish top 10, top 5, and has won the 5 or 6 races this year and won championship.
That's like, guys, we talk about these drivers and crew chiefs. That's all you hear in NASCAR: drivers, crew chief, driver, crew chief. But look at the confidence that Chase had in Alan Gustafson, and look at the confidence Alan had in Chase. That's how drivers are. These drivers that do really good, they just tell a few little things. They focus on the driving. They let the crew chief focus on fixing the car, and they trust that crew chief is going to make the right decision and making the car better. That is huge. That's why Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick has been so good for so long, because when Kevin Harvick tells him something, he knows exactly what to do, and they have no questions asked. No second guessing on any of that.
All right. Well, as much as I know that D-Train would love to sit and talk about Chase Elliott for a whole 55-minute podcast, we're going to move on about some news here. Kurt Busch and Martin Truex Jr. are slated to test drive the next-gen car at Charlotte next week for 2 days. And I personally cannot wait for the next-gen car, just simply because I think this package of NASCAR sucks. I hate that all you have to do is get in front of somebody and take their air away and it destroys their car. I hate it. I want to get back to the horsepower driving to see who the really good drivers are, because I ain't going to lie, I think when you go back and we go to these next-gen cars and it's all about horsepower again, I think you're going to see a lot of drivers that have dominated since this air package has been out are going to fall off fast, because I think they're so used to they're so good about the air and sucking up through the air and taking air away. I think a lot of those drivers now that you see do good will start to fall off when this horsepower car comes along. And I think guys like Chase, guys like Bowman, Kyle Larson, I know I'm just naming Hendrick drivers here, but new drivers like Chase Briscoe, all these guys right here that are good drivers that have come up through, I think you'll see them start to take over NASCAR, and I think the older guard will slowly start to fall out.
Well, you look at what this package has done this year. We'll just talk about one race towards the end. You look at Kansas, when Joey Logano won the race to be entered into the Final Four. Who had the faster car at the end of the race? It was that number 4 car sitting behind him, and due to Joey Logano taking Harvick's line, he couldn't get up to his rear bumper. He couldn't move him. He couldn't pass him. And I just think having a air car all depend on aerodynamics is just not good for NASCAR. It's boring to watch. You can't get big passes. If you remember Indianapolis, the Brickyard 400 this year, nobody could pass anybody. Everybody just stayed single file and just drove around the track. And I think when they come out with the new gens and it's all about horsepower, you're going to see the Chevys back dominating. They're not going to be stuck. I mean, Chevy has not been successful with getting the aerodynamics correct on these cars, but it's going to be more exciting when the new packages come out. When it's all about horsepower, there's going to be more engine blowns again. There's going to be different things happen. I mean, Kurt Busch blowing his engine at Texas. It's the first time I've seen an engine blow in probably the last 3 or 4 years because NASCAR doesn't care about horsepower. But it going back to old school, worrying about horsepower, I think it's going to be better racing and better for the sport.
Guys, I'm going to be so excited to see a car get loose again off the corner and about wreck. The car spinning out again. When's the last time you've seen a car not having a tire failure? When have you seen a car spin out? Because these cars have so much downforce on them. I mean, I believe me and you can get there and drive these cars and do it. And I know that's kind of, people are probably going to jump on that, but it's the truth. You get in there and you can just hit the gas and not let out of it, and just let out of it just a little bit, burp it every now and then. It's not going to get sideways. That's why whenever they go back to horsepower and you go to actually get up on the wheel and manhandle these things around the track at 200 some mile an hour, that's when it separates the men from the boys. And that's when you see the good drivers. Now listen, Kyle Busch, that's why their driving styles are so different. And you can see Kyle Busch can wheel a loose car. Jimmie Johnson can wheel a loose car. All these different drivers, they do good on that big horsepower. But speaking about the next gen car, Chris, I am excited because if you look at the next gen car, what they have coming out, first of all, they look more like actual cars and they look sporty. I think they look sporty. But they have the thing under them that NASCAR is trying out and this testing is that rear diffuser. So the air, instead of the air actually going on the car behind it, it diffuses the air upward. So it will not actually affect the car behind it. That's the one I'm most excited about is that rear diffuser on the cars. It looks weird. It really does. It looks weird, but I mean, hope to God it'll create better racing than what's those little things you used to get for Christmas where you just put it on the track and held the button and it kept going around the track. Those rail cars or whatever. You remember that, Chris?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like NASCAR has been the last 3 years, and it's killing me.
What's exciting about the new gen cars, old school NASCAR, now we'll finally get to see people get up on somebody's bumper and send them up the track to take a position. Right now, you just can't pass.
Well, look at Daytona Talladega right now. When you get up behind somebody, you form that draft up there behind them, and your air that's pushing on you pushes their car forward, and that's how you go. That's how you get ahead of somebody. They've created this high drag thing, and it's created this even on tracks like Bristol. I heard drivers talking about air. My God, that makes me sick that air is even affected at Bristol, a short track, the best short track in the country, in my opinion.
Well, I think whenever you go back to these, what I'm excited to see again is aggressive driving. You got a horsepower car, you're gonna have drivers that, I can't get behind this person and use the draft to set back up. I'm gonna have to be aggressive. I'm gonna have to get in here. I'm gonna have to bump people out of the way. That's what Nathan Little done whenever we had our little NASCAR heat season. Nathan Little just come up to her and used you as a brake going around the corner. He somehow won the championship that year. But I'm excited to see aggressive driving. And
Also,
I think it makes for funner driving, especially on these short tracks. It's hard to pass people at Bristol and stuff when you're relying on the air package. Bristol's, that's a short track and it's a fun track. You're going around there in 16 seconds or 15, and I want horsepower driving. I want aggressive driving. I want NASCAR to be fun again. I hate to say it. I want to see some big wrecks. I want to see. I'd love to get a daggone red flag. Had to sit there for an hour and watch them dust debris off the track. Maybe scrape Joey Logano's skin off of it. I'd love it. Woo!
That's also why I think next year NASCAR is going to so many road courses and short tracks because the intermediate tracks have been so disastrous with this package. They're not fun to watch. They're boring. Nobody can pass. But if you start in the pole, you got about a 75% chance of winning the race because nobody can pass you. And so I think that's why NASCAR next year is going to new road courses, which will be fun. Chase Elliott might have got a good opportunity to win a mile. And then you're going to a bunch of short tracks, which is fun for NASCAR. And then we'll talk about it here coming up for the new season. You got the dirt race at Bristol, which is going to be interesting. Kyle Larson, better watch out for him there. But I just think I don't know if NASCAR will stay with this scheduling with a lot of road courses and short tracks, but I think next year it'll be good until the new gens come out.
I think that NASCAR's going to go this route for this next season because of the way that fans and like their viewership has declined on intermediate tracks. So I think with this package, I think NASCAR knows this package has been bad, and I think they're admitting to their mistake by going back to horsepower in a couple of years. And I think them going away from intermediates and going short track and road courses is a way to bring exciting racing back for one more year and then keep it horsepower.
To be fair on NASCAR's part, they have listened to the most part. They have listened to like the Phelps, Steve Phelps, the guy over NASCAR now. They've listened to the NASCAR viewership. Back in 2000, I think 16 when they first or 17 when they first started talking about this new car they have right now, this different package. It was tested. Fans loved it. They wanted to see more of it because it created that excitement on restarts. Now NASCAR is listening to the drivers or the fans that are saying we want more short tracks, we want more road courses, and that's awesome. And I think even next year you'll see that those changes are even going to be expanded next year. From what I'm hearing that coming down the pipeline is some pretty cool tracks coming, and I'm excited that NASCAR is actually supporting people actually taking existing tracks and reconfiguring them into different configurations. That's pretty awesome to me. But getting on this, we got a buddy, you know who I'm talking about, William Ray. He's been my NASCAR buddy for years now. He absolutely right now despises the intermediate tracks. He talks about the air. And I understand him because we grew up when we first started watching NASCAR in the late 2010s, early 2010s. People talked about the COT all they wanted to. Look at these awesome finishes that they had. Me and William, you watch, time after time. I go back to 2005 with Carl Edwards beating Jimmie Johnson to the line at Atlanta. You go back to Darlington, back whenever Kurt Busch and Ricky Craven went at it in 03. Those late races with the new COT car. Me and William, I was at the first ever COT race at Bristol, and it was literally they finished like bumper to bumper. So, hey, I believe the intermediate tracks can come back around and be more exciting for fans. But I think we got to have the right package. We went away from what made NASCAR great, and I think that is good passing and put it in the driver's hands. Put it in the driver's hands, and you'll have a good race.
Heck, you've not even had guys fighting in the last 5 years because they can't even get up to each other, wreck each other.
No, except for Jeff Gordon. Deidre was talking this morning. I don't know what happened to Jeff Gordon at the end of his career, but he started fighting everybody, punching everybody and everything. Must have been that old age or something.
They deserved it.
All right. Well, some more news. I think it was a couple of days ago, came out. We was talking about it up at Nathan's about Tony Stewart had an interview, and he talked about how he wanted Kyle Larson. He's wanted Kyle Larson for the last 4 years, and he tried to get him in now in the 14 car after Boyer retired, but Ford said no to that. And luckily for Hendrick, they picked Larson up. So might end up coming back and hurting Stewart-Haas in the end there.
Ford knows what they were getting when they got Tony Stewart. I used to hate Tony Stewart. Him and Kurt Busch never got along really, and then Kurt Busch ended up driving for him. But Tony Stewart's always said exactly what he thought, and I respect him for that. He one time said he wishes that they didn't wreck enough cars at Talladega. He wishes they would just turn them half the field, go around the other way, and they just wreck, and everybody just wrecked until it's all over with. So, trust me, Tony Stewart don't care. But, hey, I think he absolutely smacked Ford right in the mouth by saying that, because Ford literally rejected Kyle Larson. In my opinion, the best actual talent in NASCAR at the present time. Wow.
I think it's honestly a bad. I know it's awful what Kyle Larson done. I think, but I think Kyle Larson has done his dues, and he even went far and beyond what NASCAR expected for him. And I think it's actually a pretty big shame on Ford. I guess they don't believe on second chances, and some people deserve a second chance if they work hard enough for it and they continue to work. So I'm really proud of Chevy. I've always been a Chevy fan in NASCAR, and it just showed you that Ford don't believe in second chances. You better do it right. You have time.
How crazy is it that the one that cut him, like Chevy cut him, how cool was it that they actually brought him back? That's pretty cool, ain't it? And here's what I would like to know, and we might know this next year. We might never know this, but I wonder what other teams were actually trying their best to get him. I wonder if there's any Toyota teams or anyone else trying to get him. I know that Stuart Haas wanted him.
It might not be out right now, but there's more teams that was out there wanting Kyle Larson. I bet the decision was up to him, and then he probably went with Hendrick because honestly, it's a smart move. You're gonna be back in a 5 car. You're gonna be in a spotlight. I mean, you're on a young team, up and coming team, and you're gonna be able to dominate.
And you'll pretty much be the leader of that team. Him and Chase Elliott will be.
What I liked about it is that Hendrick immediately contacted him once it all went down to give him some advice. And that's a big thing about Rick Hendrick is he's not just your car owner. He's going to be like a father figure for you, and that's big for all these young drivers that Hendrick now has in, and he's always going to help them out. And then Kyle Larson had an interview, and he talked about that pretty much Jeff Gordon was the one that ended up hiring him into Hendrick. He said Jeff Gordon contacted him about 2 weeks into his suspension and was like, listen, you do the things you're supposed to do and you do things the right way, and we will have a car for you to drive.
That's awesome. That's awesome, DJ.
So, unless you got something else to say, Nathan, you can say it real fast.
No, I know. I thought that was cool.
All right, so we're going to move on to, we've decided to introduce some segments into the Shake and Bake podcast. And the first one coming up is the pass or fail. We're going to give grades on the drivers, and Nate, you can start your screen sharing there and bring them up. And we'll all three give our grades on them for what we're doing this season. All right. Nate gets that pulled up. So we're going to do this season, I guess, and then we'll do our expectations for the 2021 season whenever we do that episode. We'll have a full episode dedicated to the start of the 2021 season. And who in the world is this, Nate?
Bear with me. We're starting off with Quinn Hoff, first year in NASCAR, driving the 00 car for Starcom Racing.
Buddy, what are you doing right now?
What do you think?
Well, for me, it's a major F.
Yes. I'm a different.
I don't know who this guy is, so I'm gonna give him an F.
just to explain a little bit, I mean, he has made some majorly stupid decisions. This year, it might be his first year in, but I actually think it's his second year in the Cup Series, and man, he's made some bad decisions. He doesn't care to get out of leaders' ways. I mean that race in Kentucky, when he cut from the top to the bottom to try to hit pit road and wrecked cars right in front of the leaders, man. And NASCAR drivers was really demanding that he get put out of the series.
I mean, guys, when I see that name right there, I think of rolling roadblock. Big F for me. No hope. If you can't get out of the leader's way, and hey, guys, listen. I'm gonna move on to this next one here. Brendan Poole. I don't know if you guys know him or not. He's actually a very good He's very good at the super speedways. Drives for Premium Motorsports, starting part. I'm gonna give him a C just for a simple fact of he gets what the car has in it. That's pretty much all you can hope for. I know you guys probably don't know, so I'll move to the next one then. I'll move up a little bit. These are here to be pretty cool. We'll start into these. Daniel Suarez. He's in fourth year in the NASCAR series, the NASCAR Cup Series. He lost his big ride with Gibbs and got relegated back here to Gaunt Brothers, and he's actually going next year to Trackhouse, a new team starting next year. What do you think about Daniel Suarez? He's driving for Gaunt Brothers this year. He's had a rather unremarkable season. Start up the D train.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a D minus. Because frankly, I didn't think he done very good in the 41 car for Stuart Haas Racing and that was a big team. And he sure done nothing in this 96 car. And if I'm not mistaken, they're Toyotas, so they are immediately in with the Gibbs crew. So, because I believe they're no different than Christopher Bell's car. He was in the 95. So I think he will get a D minus for me.
Yeah, they're a little bit different than that. They have a less alliance, but nonetheless, it's a Toyota, and I mean, you would think he would finish better than 32nd in the points. I mean, come on now. I'm gonna give him a big fat F because he has been nothing but a disappointment since he got into the series. That's just my opinion on Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a. I think I'm gonna give him a D. I mean, he's not done really anything remarkable, or I mean, he's not really done anything bad either. He's just kind of been there, 32nd points. I mean, he's probably where he needs to be at losing a ride and going back to the Gaunt Brothers, whatever or whatever he's gonna be driving in next time.
I mean, you look, guys, about Suarez there. I mean, he at one time he was one of your biggest prospects coming into the series, and now he ain't do worth a crap. So
like we mentioned earlier, is a lot of people will cave underneath that pressure. Some people can't handle that.
Next one is Corey LaJoy. He comes from a family of racing. He has had a decent season with that 32 car. He's had some decent runs. I mean, I think they've had some. I think what I've seen mostly is they've had fuel pump problems. Like they had like a string of like 10 races where they were running good, top 15, top 20, top 25, and they'd have the fuel pump go out. I mean, so that's just the life of a small team. I heard today that Corey LaJoy actually has a offer on the table from the new Spire Motorsports team. I mean, it's a slight upgrade because they're kind of putting more effort into the program, but I think he deserves a chance. I'm gonna give him a C, just because I believe that he kind of got what that car needed, and if it wasn't been for those fuel pump issues, he probably would have had a lot better season this year. I like him.
I'm gonna give him a C plus because we all know that 32 car is not capable of competing, and he's made some gambles. He's not pitted and have the whole field sitting behind him, and he's kind of held his own as long as he could. So I'll give him C plus. He's not a bad driver, and exciting to see. And he's also a young driver, so exciting to see what his future holds.
Well, I'm gonna be a little biased here just for one reason only. I agree with what y'all said. I'm not really going to repeat it because I feel the same way about him. Except I'm gonna give him a B minus, and that's simply for the fact that he drove the Trump Make America Great Again car. So let's move on.
Hey man, I love that. Next is going to be Mr. Ryan Preece. Really used to like Ryan Preece a whole lot, and he was big in the wheel modified series up in New England. He come out of that area doing those wheel modified cars, like we always race on NASCAR games. But honestly, he took a ride right there, that 37 car that Chris Buescher was in, and Chris Buescher had a really good season with it. I think Chris Buescher made the chase in that 37 car, and
He won Super Speedway.
And I think he won Pocono. No. Well, anyway, it don't matter. Either way, he done a lot better than what Ryan Preece has done. So I'm going to give Ryan Preece a D minus. I mean, yes, I understand JT Doherty is not good equipment, but come on, you're supposed to be this big driver out of Northeast, and you can't muster more than like a 30th place finish in the points.
I'm gonna go D minus because He sucks.
I mean, let's be honest. His best finish on the year is ninth. I'm looking at some stats here of his. Every time you brought up a driver, I pull up their stats just in case I feel like talking about him like the last guy. I only really cared about him because of his trunk car. His average start is 25th. His average finish is 24.3, so he's not really doing much of nothing. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, he's kind of there.
He's good one. DNF. He's DNF'd 8 times, so obviously he's sucking and doing something wrong. But we'll move on. I'm gonna give him a D minus.
Yeah, he's been pretty unremarkable this year. Actually, been a big disappointment to me. Oh God, this is gonna be a bad one right here, guys. Matt Kenseth. Y'all know Matt Kenseth. He had a storied career in NASCAR. He came back out of retirement, drive a 42 car. He had a crew chief swap in the middle of the season. Honestly, guys, what a disappointment this was for Matt Kenseth. I was so excited. Him and Kurt Busch were great teammates back at Roush. I was so excited for him to team up with Kurt Busch again and get with Ganassi. I don't know what's going on with that 42 car, whether it's a no practice or what, but Matt Kenseth had just absolutely sucked it up this year. And he's a championship driver. He's an awesome driver. He's won a lot of races. I bet you he's wishing he didn't come back to drive at 42 this year. But I'm gonna give Matt, as bad as I hate to say it, I'm gonna give him a D. He kind of left a bad taste in my mouth this year. He's instead of like Jimmie Johnson riding off into the sunset, he's kind of just there.
Kind of sputtered. His balloon popped halfway through.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna give him a B, and it's not because of his performance. I mean, he did finish a close second at Indianapolis, the Brickyard. But I mean, you get a guy, and I mean, he comes in, a couple races in, 3-4 races, comes in during the COVID break. I mean, listen, this guy is 48 years old. He comes in after retirement. How many years has he been out?
I think his last race was in 2018. I think maybe 19, maybe 17.
So you bring a guy out of retirement 2 or 3 years in, and here's the thing: if it was a regular year, I think Matt Kenseth would do good. But him not getting to have practice after coming out of retirement for 3 years, if he's not had anything. But I mean, he saved that team. I mean, he come in, he done what he could. He had a couple good finishes, and I mean, 48 years old, you don't have the courage you used to when you was a younger driver. For him to come out of retirement, not getting to practice or qualify, I think he gets a B for me.
To his credit, Chris, let me add this in before you make your grade here. He was driving Kyle Larson set up cars. So these cars were already manufactured, already made. They're not going to go back and make a whole new fleet of cars and just for Matt Kenseth because it's already into the season. So he was driving Kyle Larson's car, and obviously their driving styles is nowhere close.
Well, this guy here, yeah, he was a great driver at one point. But I think it's a guy that should have probably just declined and not came back. Simply for the fact is there's guys when they retired for a reason. They're done with it. They're not good drivers anymore. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have skill. Let's be honest. I don't care if it was Kyle Larson manufactured cars. He should have got a feel for that car. If he's such a good driver, he would have got a feel for it, and he would have been able to finish better. But he came back for the money. That's all it was. He wanted to check. I mean, I seen D-Train doing the money symbol there, and that's what I was about to get to. He came back. He must have been running low on some money, probably spent it out there in Florida, out on the beach or something, and probably blown it away. Came back to get a little money, race a little bit, and got some stats for you here to show how bad it's done.
Listen to him dirty talking, Kenseth.
Well, I said he was a great driver before, but look at him. He's old. He's an old man out there running around. The same thing as Jimmie Johnson. If Jimmie Johnson would have kept going driving, I'd have called him stupid. Because Jimmie Johnson, let's be honest, has not been good. He ain't been good this year.
You're right.
I mean, it is what it is. When drivers get older, the game passes them up. It is what it is. It's the same thing in other sports. Football, the only exception right now is Tom Brady in football. Tom Brady's eternal right now in football. But you got guys in sports pass him up. I don't think he should have came back. Here's some quick stats here. He had one top 5. That was a second place finish D-Train talked about. He's had 2 top 10s. His average start was 19. His average finish was worse than 19. It was 21.4. and 5 DNFs. So I mean, you got to do better than that. If you're a championship driver, I don't care if it's Kyle Larson's car or not. You got to do better than that. So I'm gonna give him a D plus.
All right. Next, we're going to have a driver that started out on the, his dad was a Cup Series driver. Started out, he's a young prospect, and I believe it's a sophomore. No, it actually was his first year. He was a Rookie of the Year contender. John Hunter Nemechek drives 38 in Front Row Motorsports. He's been a solid driver all through his career in NASCAR, Truck Series, and Xfinity. Hey, honestly, guys, he's just not driving for a great team. I mean, they don't perform well. They have flashes. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, they have flashes of good runs. But John Hunter Nemechek, the first of the year, was having awesome runs. I don't know if you remember, he was top 10s all the time, up at top 15, and it just kind of just fell apart here at the end of the season. As far as him being a rookie, him being in the team he's in, I think he did overperform a little bit. I'm gonna give him a B minus. I think he has a bright future in NASCAR.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to probably give him B minus, because I do think he is top 3 in the rookie category this season. He's not with a great team, but I do think he is going to be really good in the future when he gets his big break and gets with one of the power teams. And don't be surprised if he's not in the 24 car.
All right, well, I won't agree with you. I think he overperformed in what he is. I mean, he was in what Front Row Motorsports is that the team he is on him. It's not really. I mean, let's be honest, it's a low tier team. They're not providing the best equipment in the world. They're kind of just there. Those teams in the back of NASCAR, that's something that really aggravates me. I honestly wish they'd shorten the field down a little bit because there's just a lot of guys out there that shouldn't be there. I mean, 40 drivers has been the norm in NASCAR for a long time, but let's cut that down to like 30 or something.
I like. See, what I have a different view of that. I want them to actually, with this next gen car, it will elevate these other teams up to where the other ones are. I want them actually to expand the field back to 43 like it always was when I was growing up. But I don't know. Anyway, on to the next one.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him. I ain't gave him a grade yet. I'm gonna give him a B. He overperformed.
Yeah, he definitely overperformed. I think. I'll go to the next one. Lord have mercy.
Up y'all the time. He ain't gonna let me give him time now.
Oh, I'm sorry. This right here is gonna kill me. Ty Dillon. His team is going out of business this year. He don't have a ride. His team has been aligned very closely with Richard Childress Racing. Richard Childress Racing actually has seen a great uptick in performance this year with bringing on Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon having some good runs. But guys, I tried to like Ty Dillon when he first came in the series in Xfinity. He just says he can't. I don't even like his brother that much, Austin, but he can't hold Austin's jock straps. Let's just be honest. I think it's be the last year Ty Dillon drives the car. He might go over there and help a little bit Richard Childress as far as management wise. I'm gonna give him a big old fat F because no improvement from when he first started to now. He's not improved now.
Whew, one of the worst drivers in NASCAR, in my opinion. And you can say it's his car, but there's been some people in that 13 car that has done pretty well. I'm going to give him a big fat F. And if he was a really good driver, I believe his papa would hire him on his team. But he's not a good driver, and that's pretty bad when your own papa won't hire you on to his team. But I think Richard Childress has a great driver in Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon, his nephew. So.
It's actually his grand. It's actually Austin's brother.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a grade that's lower than an F. Actually, I'm gonna give it a grade I got in anatomy at Moorhead. I'm gonna give it an A because he sucks. So he's just out there taking up space. I don't really have anything much more to say about him. I'm glad he don't have a ride because he's just taking up space. It's I mean, the only good thing he did was get on the scanner with Alex Bowman's team at Charlotte Roval and tell us about where the slick spots were. That's the only good thing he's ever done for NASCAR. So let's get him off of NASCAR.
I will say he did win a stage at the Roval.
Yeah, by staying out. Lord have mercy. Next. We're going to go to Ryan Newman. Hey, Ryan Newman, guys, he's been a staple in NASCAR for years. He's driven for Roush. It's his second year at Roush. Started out the season with an awful wreck at Daytona. Look at last year, what he done. Last year he was in the chase, had awesome runs. I don't know if this wreck bothered him a lot on his driving wise, but he's not been the aggressive Ryan Newman that we've seen in years past. I think Ryan Newman is at the very end of his NASCAR career, and I like Ryan Newman actually. I like the guy. I always enjoyed watching him. He's they call him Rocket Man for a reason. He's fast. He's always gets them poles. I ain't seen him get a pole in a long time. That's what he used to be known as. But I'm gonna have to give Ryan Newman a. Roush is not good. I'm gonna give him a D. I just think he's underperformed this year, all across the board.
I'm going to give him a C minus just for the fact is he is by far the toughest lap car to pass ever. He will not get out of the way. He don't care who you are. Even if you would try to pass him at Phoenix for the championship, you ain't passing him unless you earn it. And I kind of like it about Ryan Newman is you don't care who you are, you're going to earn it if you get a position from him where you're going to lap him. And I also like that he is the fattest driver in NASCAR. And
Oh, we know we love that.
I mean, he elevates that six team. That six team has been awful for a very long time. I think Roush is an awful team. He elevates them. He's had them in the playoffs, or when he's been there. I'm gonna give him a C minus for his year.
I'll give him a D plus. I'm gonna go. I don't know. I think Nate gave him a D minus or something like that. I can't remember, but I'll give him credit. He is a tough driver coming back from that wreck. I think a lot of people thought he was gonna die after that wreck, and he's in the hospital, and he managed to come back and still finish out the. I mean, he missed a couple of races, still managed to come back and finish out the year. I mean, that's tough. But he has underperformed this year, and I'm a stats guy when it comes to grading these guys. And 2 top 10s on the year, you're deserving of a D plus. Moving on.
Yeah, well, I also want to say this. I was reading this down here on the bottom, this description. In 2002, he beat Jimmie Johnson for Rookie of the Year. That's pretty cool. Ryan Newman used to be awesome. I'm telling you guys, he was an awesome driver. Also wanted to say, well, I forgot what I was saying now. I lost my train of thought. Go on, Lord have mercy. Oh God, Ricky Spinhouse, Jr. Ricky Stenhouse, he turned a lot of heads back in 2011, 2012. Guys, he was an awesome Xfinity Series driver. He won back-to-back Series championships in Xfinity. But since he's been in the Cup Series, he's pretty much, I would describe him, D-Train and Chris, as a dart without feathers. He's had speed in certain races. He's a good restrictor plate racer because he wrecks everybody. He comes up behind. But I'm gonna have to give Ricky Stenhouse. I mean, here he is with JT Doherty. I know they're an awful race team. I understand that, but my goodness, he just keeps going down and down and down. I got to give Ricky Stenhouse a big fat C minus because he's a decent driver, guys. He really is. But my God, when are you going to start saying it's time to start picking it up a little bit?
I'm gonna give him a C. He's not with a great team. He's actually with an awful team. But Ricky Stenhouse is not he's competed at some intermediate tracks, and he's a decent, mediocre at short tracks. But I tell you what, this dude can wheel a car in them super speedways, and he makes crazy passes that you don't think can happen. And he done it again this year. Really surprising passes, and he's won stages in the super speedways, and could have won that Talladega race that Ryan Blaney won. I mean, they was side by side slamming each other's doors off to win that race. I don't think he's a great driver in this series. I think he's mid pack, but I mean, I give a guy credit that can wheel a car and He's finished some top 5s and top 10s this year.
I'll give him a C. He had 3 top 5s on the year. Talladega was 2. Las Vegas, beginning of the year, he finished 3rd. And I can't remember the other one, but he's had 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. I'll give him a C. Pretty underwhelming driver since he's been in the Cup, let's be honest. He had 8 DNFs on the year. Shame. Another thing I remember him for the most is dating Danica Patrick, and that's about all I really care about. So let's move on.
And they ranked each other every week.
And I will tell you about this. These smaller teams like this, they need that practice time to get them cars right.
Yeah, and that's why this next gen car, when everything's going to be spec and they're going to be giving all this equipment out, I think we won't. I mean, I think we have a good idea who the best drivers in NASCAR is right now, but I think when it comes to the actual building up the best drivers and seeing what they got, I think the next gen car is going to be a separator on guys, and it's going to elevate the lower teams, level the playing field. I'm excited. So moving on. Speaking about the lower teams overperforming, Michael McDowell. Guys, Michael McDowell has been a wonderful driver in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's been around a long time now. He's been around, I think his rookie season was 2008. I watched him that year. He had a horrific wreck. He didn't perform all that well at Mike Waltrip Racing, but he's really found his niche here at Front Row Motorsports. They don't have a lot of funding. They don't have a lot of sponsors. He always overperforms his stuff. He's a great road racer and great super speedway racer. He this year, I mean, look at him there. I think he finished 23rd in points. I think it looks like. So, I mean, guys, how many times do we see Michael McDowell up in the top 10 this year, and we're like, where the crap did he come from? So I'm going to give Michael McDowell an A minus. I think he overperforms his equipment. I think he's a good driver. He had a good season.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to give him a B plus on the year. I believe he actually did finish a couple top 10s in really, really bad equipment. And, he is one thing I like about him is he is a major league Christian driver. He'll tell you how it is. And I think he's a good driver. I don't think he's never got to catch his break with a nice ride and a big time team. But I agree with Nathan. He does overperform in the equipment he's in.
So we got an A minus and what, a C, C plus,
B plus.
Y'all are crazy. B plus. God, Lord Jesus, help me. Y'all are crazy. C plus at best. C plus. 4 top 10s. Yeah, y'all performed in that. But other than that, he's been kind of other than those 4 top 10s, he's finished outside the top 15, mostly in the top 20. So C plus.
On the next one.
And let's get into it. We've been out here. Say we're at a restaurant right now, and we're out here, and they dress that little fancy steak out here with a bunch of little nasty spinach leaves. Let's get out of the spinach leaves and let's get into the meat, son. What are we doing?
All right, let's hit the high points here. Let's hit the high points. Let's just say the name, and we'll just go.
I see.
I'm gonna say the name. Then when we get to the top 15, we're gonna go back to what we was doing. God, Lord have mercy, Bubba Wallace. C minus. D train.
Yeah, well.
C.
Underperforms in equipment. I'm going to give him a D.
Chris Buescher. I'm going to give him a B minus.
I'm going to give him a B plus. That boy has competed in the top 10 a lot this year.
Give him a B.
Roush just sucks, guys. Let's be honest. Christopher Bale, rookie. I'm going to give him a big. I think he underperformed this year. I'm going to give him a big fat C minus.
I don't really think he's underperformed that much. I mean, he's not in the greatest car of all time. We'll really see what he's all about when he's in the 20 and he's getting all the full-time Gibbs gear, the brand new Laval, and we'll see. But I'll give him a C plus.
I agree with that. Can I retract mine real quick? I feel bad giving him a C minus because he is a rookie and he's in not good equipment. I'm gonna give Christopher Bell a B minus. I mean he's overperformed.
Yeah, I
C
know the
plus.
41 race, but I think he was the top performing rookie this year.
Disagree, but I think the next guy we're gonna mention is. But go ahead, Chris.
Oh, C plus.
Tyler Reddick. Man, guys, he started out in the summer. He had awesome finishes. I think he overperformed. Look at what the 8 done that last year, and look what he done. I'm gonna give Tyler Reddick an A minus.
I'm gonna give Reddick a C due to the fact he done great. Started off the year on fire, and then halfway through to the end, I mean, you've not heard about him again. He kind of fell off the map, and that could be maybe because they wanted to fix up the 3 car so much. But I go by full year-round deal. I think he underperformed towards the end of the year, and I think Christopher Bale steadied out all year.
I can see that.
Well, I want to disagree here about him starting out on fire at the beginning of the year. He kind of got into his best racing in the middle of the year, but he fell off a little bit towards the end. He had 3 top 5s, 9 top 10s. I'm gonna give him a B minus.
This is sad. Last season for Jimmie Johnson. What we gonna give him a grade wise? 7-time champion. I think Jimmy has. He's kind of run what that car's giving him this year. He's not really overperformed or underperformed. I feel Jimmy's been right there, just kind of hanging around. Can never break through to that good finish. And he had a few top 5s, I think, or 2 top 10s. I'm gonna give Jimmy, just based on who he is and how he ended his career. Guys, he's not had a few good seasons. I'm gonna say Jimmie Johnson got a C plus.
I'm gonna give Jimmy a B minus. Jimmy was, I mean, you look at what could have happened. I mean, the first couple races in the playoffs, he finished top 10s or close to it. I mean, Jimmy was, what was it, 4 points out from making it in the playoffs, and first the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, he got deducted from second to all the way to 40th, lost all them points, and he missed a race due to COVID. That man could have been in the playoffs, and he could have made it a couple rounds.
This pains me to do this to poor Jimmy. It does. Jimmy, let's be honest. Compared to what he's been, he sucked this year. Let's be honest. Sucked. So I'm giving him a D plus. He could have done better. He was a driver that was ready to go. He's done with NASCAR. I'm done. D plus.
That's fair. It's Eric Jones, guys. No comment on him, but he lost his ride this year. He's underperformed. He's in the 20 car, underperformed. He was a great driver in the Xfinity Series, and now he pretty much is just he's just there. He's nothing flashy, really. He's won a race, I think, 2 races at Daytona and then Darlington last year. But I'm gonna give Eric Jones a D, guys. He's going to change my mind next year in the 43.
And I'm giving him an F. He underperforms Joe Gibbs' car. He barely gets top 10s. You never see him competing, hardly ever. And I don't think he's a very good driver. And I'm super happy Hendrick passed on him.
Whoa. Burley gets top 10s. Well, I'd like to hit you with this. I'm going to disagree with both of you. Eric Jones, 9 top 5s, 13 top 10s. I think he overperformed what he should have done. So I'm gonna give him a B plus.
I mean, you're gonna give him a B plus, but Jimmie gets 10 top tens and 5 top fives, and you give him a D minus, and almost makes the playoffs, and Eric Jones did not.
And Briggs
Well,
had a 2-race lead on him.
and Jimmie Johnson could have done a lot better. And I'm just being
Anyway,
critical of a man who's ready to quit. So
now we're starting into the actual chase guys. We'll kind of slow down a little bit again. Cole Custer made the playoffs with his win at Kentucky. You have to say that drive at Kentucky was an awesome drive, coming on the outside there and got that win. In my opinion, guys, he's underperformed that car. That 41 car, we know that car's a good car. Look what Kurt Busch done with that car in 2017 or 2016 on. Before that, so I'm gonna give Cole Custer a big old fat C minus. He needs to pick it up.
Yeah, you got to give a guy a little bit of time. He is a rookie. Not all rookies are going to come in and start busting out wins left and right. I do think his Kentucky win was pure luck because the top 3 cars absolutely smashed each other. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give Custer probably a C minus as well. He is a little underperforming with not many great finishes throughout the year.
D plus. Moving on.
Kill me, Chris. Moving on to Eric Almirola. Man,
Trash.
when's this guy gonna have a breakout season? He's in good equipment, has good runs. I mean, look at this year. He had a stretch this year where he had an awesome run. He had several top tens. But guys, he's in good equipment. We know he is, and he still. I mean, he gets knocked out the first round of the championship, the playoffs. Eric Almirola, come on, man, do something for me. I'm gonna give him a big C minus.
I'll give him a C due to his. I mean, he has finished in the top 10 quite a bit. I'll give him a C, but he is in winning equipment at Stewart-Haas Racing, and they want championships. And I'm going to tell you, if he doesn't start winning races and advancing pretty far in the playoffs, his ride at Stewart-Haas is not going to be there very much longer.
All right, so I'm not a fan of Almirola at all. I think he's in really good equipment, and he's right where that equipment will put him at. Honestly, I think he can probably put any of those lower tier drivers that are in bad equipment and put like John Hunter Nemechek. So you throw him in Eric Almirola's car, I think he'll do better in that car. He's performing right where he should be. He had 18 top 10s this year, which is where that car should be. Let's be honest, I mean, it's a good car. So I'm going to give him a C minus.
All right, next is William Byron. I think it was his sophomore season, was it? He trained with second year at Hendrick. Is that right? Maybe third year with Hendrick, and he's kind of he won a race this year. We'll go him, but I want to see him start performing a little bit better on the intermediate tracks and the bread and butter of NASCAR. I mean, I think William Byron. I know you guys disagree with me. I think he's a good driver. I think something's just missing. And with Rudy Fugle coming on, I think that's going to be a big help to him this year. But next year, I mean. So I'm going to give William Byron a C. I feel like he needs to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to give. I'll give William Byron a C minus due to the fact he did finally win a race this year. I think he is an underwhelming driver. I'll give him the benefit of a doubt. He is a very young driver at 22, but if he does not start competing, then I do not see him being in that 24 car much longer.
Not a fan of William Byron. C minus. I think he had probably the best crew chief of all time, and he underperformed with him. So why should we expect him to perform well with another one. So C minus.
All right, on to the next one. 13th place this year, finishing the playoffs was Matt DiBenedetto. Matt DiBenedetto has been known, he's kind of the same kind of cut from the same cloth that your favorite driver, Chris, Alex Bowman, was. He's been in these sucky cars for years on years, finally got a big break, went to Levine, had a breakout year there, had a few good runs. Put him in this 21 car this year, and he's he's just been there. He's not he's had some good drive, some good good finishes, but mostly guys he's underperformed in my opinion. I think he needs to pick it up a little bit. He's already been told that next year is his last year with that team. They're gonna bring in Austin Cindric after that. So I got to give Benedetto just based on his upgrade, and he did upgrade. He upgraded, and his results have upgraded. Uh, but I'm looking for more from him, so I'm gonna give him a B minus.
I'm gonna give Benedetto a B. I think going into a new ride, a new crew chief, you get no practice time with them, no nothing. I think it's very tough on a guy, and I think it's an awful shame that he gets in there 1 year and they're like, "Well, you got one more year left, and we're getting rid of you." I think he's a better driver than that. I mean, he took the 21 team into the playoffs, and I don't think they had that much great of equipment. You think Penske's going to give all their great equipment over to him? They're a Penske side team, and I think he overperformed in the 21 car. He had some opportunities of winning races this year as well.
C plus. I ain't got nothing different to say than what you all do, so I'm ready to move on to the next one.
Clint Boyer, last full-time season in NASCAR. He's moving into the Fox booth next year. He's a crackerjack of a guy. Really fun. He's fun to listen to and things. He's really a good guy. Clint Boyer, guys, has been a pretty good driver in NASCAR. He's only got, I think, 10 wins in NASCAR. So he has won some races, but in my opinion, he has underperformed every year he's been in that 14. I think 2018 he won 2 races. Clint Boyer's going out a little worse than Jimmie Johnson, I think. I mean, he has better finishes. You can tell as he made the chase. He made the chase stuff. He barely made the chase over Jimmie Johnson, but I'm gonna give Clint Boyer, guys. I hate to do it, but I'm gonna give him a D because he just. I mean, come on now. He's in Stuart Haas equipment at 14.
I'm gonna give him a D as well. He's just an underperformer, and that's what he's been his whole career. But I think he'll be an overperformer in the Fox booth because he is a very funny man.
Clint Boyer. D minus. 2 top 10 or 12 top 10s, 2 top 5s on the year. Jimmie Johnson at least finished out his last race with a top 5 finish, while meanwhile Clint Boyer was over there just whimpering around like a little injured dog. Let's move on.
Teacher, I don't want Chris, if he's a teacher, to teach my.
I'm a hard grader, boys. Nate, if you're talking, you are muted.
Anyway, Austin Dillon's next. Guys, I don't think any of us here like Austin Dillon as far as just as a driver. He's cocky. He comes off as being cocky, and I just don't like. He never have really. He's not had a bad season. He had some speed. He won Texas this year. That was a big step up for him. So I mean, he did win a race, and he did overperform in that 3 car. And RCR performed really, really good this season as the season went on. I'm going to give Austin Dillon a B, guys. I feel like that. I feel like he overperformed his equipment big time.
I'm gonna give him a C plus. He had some spurts this year where he done pretty well. He did win Texas, as Nathan said. He done decent in the first round of the playoffs, and then he fell away. He has somewhat overperformed his team. actually think the rookie Reddick almost might have finished more top tens than Austin Dillon did. Um, but I will say he's not worthy to be in that 3 car.
They just looking at the stats here, they both had the same amount of top tens. Both had 9 top 10s.
9 top 10s, 4 top 5s, 1 win. Don't like his face, don't like his voice, and we'll give him a C.
You're killing me. Oh, guys. On to my favorite driver, Kurt Busch. See my voice cut up a little bit high pitch there. I got a little excited. Kurt Busch, guys, since he got out of that 22 car, he has overperformed every car he's been in. And this is no different. Kurt Busch, he went to the round of 8 this year, and that number 1 car, we know that car don't have the speed. Before Kurt Busch got there, that car had not won in a long time. And he's won a race both years with it. I mean, and he won this year, topped it off. He won at his home track, which he's been trying to do for years. So, I think Kurt Busch has done good, and y'all gonna say that I'm biased on this. I'm gonna give Kurt an A minus because he's really he stepped that car up a whole lot. He's been running good.
Well, I'm not going to be too surprised on your A minus because I'm actually going to give Kurt probably an A on due to the fact his equipment. He was in the same equipment as Matt Kenseth. No different equipment, same team. Kurt Busch has absolutely elevated that 1 car to somewhere they've never been. And I just don't think Chip Ganassi is a great team. And that's something Kurt Busch does. He goes to a team and he elevates them for the future, just like he did that to 78. And they ended up winning the championship a couple years after that. But Kurt had some really good finishes, had a win on the year, and he advanced to the Elite 8.
Kurt. I think he actually, as much as I just like to get under Nate's skin, he had a good year, honestly. 1 win, 7 top 5s, 19 top 10s. That's 52.8% of all races. So he finished in the top 10, at least over 50% of those. His average finish was a little bit below his average start, but that could be due to his 5 DNFs, like the engine blowing. I'm going to give him an A minus.
I'm pleasantly surprised. Ryan Blaney, guys. Ryan Blaney, I think we're all pretty much a big fan of Ryan Blaney. I mean, we want him to do good. He's the only Penske car we want to see do good. But I mean, I think that he kind of had to stay. He was there this year. He had several top 10s. He had speed. If you remember, guys, back before the pandemic started, he was in position to win like 3 or 4 races, and it just got him. He got screwed out of it at the end. So I'm gonna give Ryan Blaney a B plus. I think that he's right there, but he's in Penske equipment. He needs to speak it up a little bit. But he had to get 11 top 5s and 17 top 10s. So I think that's pretty good. B plus.
Take my stats away from me. I appreciate that.
I'm honestly going to give him a C. He had some great finishes, but I think he majorly underwhelmed this year. I thought at the start of the year he was going to be the best Penske car out there. He's got a championship crew chief. He's got all he needs. He's got the equipment. He has all he needs to win and compete, and he gets eliminated early. Yeah, it might have been because he got deducted points in the playoffs, trying to cheat his way through. But, I mean, there was some tracks there he could have won to advance himself. I just think he majorly underwhelmed. He would run in the top 5. He would compete for wins. But when it mattered, he would always finish second or third. He could not win the race. He choked a lot this year.
I'm going to disagree with D-Train here. I honestly believe that Blaney will be gone from Penske in a couple of years when William Byron's contract's up. And I believe he'll be the next Hendrick car driver. He's good buddies with all of them. So I'm going to give him a B minus. 11 top 5s, 17 top 10s. Average finish was 13th. So he done, Unluckiest driver in NASCAR, let's be honest. He had a very unlucky.
Could,
So,
could,
I'm getting my grade. I'm done.
could you guys consider Ryan Blaney to be the next Denny Hamlin? Has speed, runs
No,
good, and always kind of goes away at the end.
I
no,
don't think
because
so.
he's young.
Time will tell. Anyway, on to the next one. Finished 8th in points this year as Kyle
Kyle
Busch.
Busch. Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch.
Uh,
Can I go first? Kyle Busch.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Underwhelmed. Kind of sucked all year. Kind of just complained. Wham, 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 wham. My car, my car, my car. Buddy, you're a championship driver. You know what to do. Fix the daggone thing. Tell your crew chief. Quit being a little baby and get it fixed. One race win after winning the championship. Pathetic. F.
I'm going to go quick on this. I think he majorly underperformed. I think he was awful all year. I'm going to give him a D minus.
If it wouldn't have been right until that Texas race, I'd have gave him probably an F. I think after the Texas race, he won that race with pit strategy, with fuel mileage, pretty much. I mean, you could argue that, but I'm gonna give him a D plus. On to the next one. Martin Truex Jr. But man, the whiniest driver in NASCAR by far. You think Kyle Busch is whiny? He's whiny. Get out your Kleenex. They need to sponsor him. He needs a crying towel. But anyway, used to like Martin Truex, but then I realized that I don't think, guys, he's as much a driver as Cole Pearn was a crew chief. So he underperformed to me this year. He did have several top tens and top fives, but he had a hard time breaking through to the winners column. I'm gonna give him a D minus just for the fact of all of his top tens and top fives.
I'm going to give him a D because he decided to slam Chase in the White Darlington and blame it on Chase Elliott.
Martin Truex Jr. Probably two of my most hated drivers in NASCAR. Well, Bubba Wallace is up there too. I think Joe Logano and he are one A, won't be for me for drivers I hate the most. Martin Truex has won a championship, and ever since then it's wham, 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 get in my way. Why don't you give me that line that you're riding in? Wham, wham, wham. Quit being a little baby, man up. You're getting old enough anyway. All that gray hair. Just go ahead and quit complaining. You're a NASCAR driver. They're fighting to compete with you as well. They ain't got to give you the line. So, D.
All right, on to the next one, Chris. You're killing me. And if you're listening to this, I think you probably have a lot of the same feelings we do because we all see these drivers, how they perform, what they say, and we just get tired of Martin Truex always making excuses for anytime something goes bad wrong. So, I just want to highlight this real quick before we move on. In 2018, he told Joe Logano that he won the battle, but he wouldn't win the war. And then what Joe Logano do? He went and won the war because he won the championship. I thought that's pretty. I'll never forget that about Mark Truex. He just all talk, no action. So next on to Alex Bowman, Chris's favorite driver.
We should let Chris go first.
Go ahead and go first, Chris. You want to introduce Mr. Bowman?
No. I want y'all to go first, same we did with
Okay,
Busch.
okay.
I'll go first. Alex Bowman, a partner of Team Hendrick, which I love, and I support all Team Hendrick drivers. I think Alex Bowman had a really quick start to the year, really fast, absolutely dominated Auto Club. I'd love to seen what Alex would have been able to do if we did not get into the COVID-19 break. I think it affected a lot of drivers, but still, I think Alex started to, struggle when we come right back from the COVID break. I mean, a lot of times he was running top 10 and top 5 in them races. Something stupid would happen. I think he had a flat 2 straight races and slammed the wall. But I think Alex really performed well. And again, I think a lot of people is still questioning if Alex deserves to be at Hendrick Motorsports or not. And I think he's performing with all the stress level on him. Still would have loved to see what he could have done if we didn't have the COVID-19 pandemic. because he was absolutely dominating, finishing first and second and before the break. But I think he performed well. He had a bunch of top tens, and he absolutely. I don't know if he was out of the top 10 when we hit in the playoffs because he was always there competing, and he made it to the final eight. So I will give him a A.
Looking at Alex Bowman, guys, I mean, comparing this, I know we don't want to compare stick and ball sports and to NASCAR stuff at all times, but it's true. I think he is your definition of he. This is how I think of Alex Bowman. He is like you would bring in a 6 man off the bench, and he come in, he lights out, he just lights the house up, and just takes the win into his own hands. That's what I look at Alex Bowman as. He struggled many years to get in this ride. And when he got in this ride, guys, he has put up the numbers. So I'm going to go through this right here with you real quick. Look at this middle column here. Is their finishes. Scroll down, you see he won that race. He kind of had a mediocre summer. Then Daytona happened. Or Dover, right around Dover, the Dover race. Look here. Second Dover race. Look at these finishes. He just turned it on at the end of the year. Top 5, top 10, top 5, top 5. I'm gonna give.
And
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of Chevy drivers had trouble during the summer. We started off strong, then we all struggled. Chase still competed a little bit, but most Chevy drivers, I mean, blames most of that on Chevy.
Yeah, so I'm going to give Alex Bowman an A+, guys. He got the win this year. I like to see him get a few more wins next year and elevate himself a little bit. But I think he overperformed big time this year from what I thought he was going to do. So I'm going to give him an A+.
Well, you know, boys, Alex Bowman. What caught my eye about Alex Bowman was his ability to start out in those lower tier cars, and when he was given the opportunity to step in for Dale Jr., when Dale had that concussion, and he started driving very well for them, and he got in that car, and this year absolutely dominated Auto Club. Then COVID happened. Long layoff hurt him a little bit, but if you look, I think it's 9 of the last 11 races of the year he was top 5 or top 10, my bad. So this is completely biased. I love Alex Bowman. Jumped to the 48 car. I think he's going to be in probably outside of Chase. I believe he'll be in the probably about the best equipment there. He and Chase will be in the best equipment on the team. They'll want to keep that 48 car good just because of its history. I'm gonna give him an A++, boys. That's my guy.
Oh, big A++ lead train. Kevin Harvick next, guys. I think Kevin Harvick ended the season, what was it, with 9 wins? Is that correct? Yeah, 9 wins there. He was on a tear in the middle of this season, guys, throughout the summer. Got to the playoffs, and I mean, if you're like me, you're like a more traditionalist in NASCAR. You go back, and if you're a Kevin Harvick fan, you go back to look how the old points were, and you pull up how he would finish in the old points year after year after year. You would about have to be sick to your stomach because Kevin Harvick would be a like 4 or 5 time champion at this point. So, but anyway, that's not how it is. We race this way now. This is the new way, and they need to learn how to cope with this new way of racing for championships. And Kevin Harvick had a great regular season champion. He faltered in the playoffs. Missed the Final Four, even after having, I mean, an ungodly amount of points buffering him. So I got to give Kevin Harvick, guys, a B-. Well, I'll give him a B, just because he had such a great season. But you got to finish strong.
I'll give him. I'm gonna have to give him an A-. I mean, not many drivers are gonna come out and bust 9 wins in the regular season, but he did majorly underperform. That's why he's not A+. He underperformed and he disappeared in the playoffs. Not a lot of times you heard of Kevin Harvick, and not the Kevin Harvick of old, because the old Kevin Harvick at Kansas would absolutely move Joey Logano into that wall to take that win, so it's on him that he wasn't in the Final Four.
Kevin Harvick, 9 regular season wins, your regular season champion, underperforming the playoffs. Shocker. B.
All right, on to Denny Hamlin, guys. He was in the Final Four.
Hamlin, I believe that Denny Hamlin, this should be a quickie. Choked. I'm going to go with a C+. He's a choker.
Yeah, he's a choker, but I got to give the host. I'm grading the whole season, so I'm going to. He had 7 wins. That's a lot for Denny Hamlin. He's kind of a streaky driver. We all know that. But I'm going to give Denny Hamlin a B just because he made the Final Four, and he did kind of outperformed Kevin Harvick. But he still, in my opinion, he should have been champion this year, but he underperformed. So I'm going to give him a B.
C. Choker.
Yeah, well, see,
All right.
here's my grading system for this, especially these playoff drivers. Regular season, I kind of contribute that in here and there. But when we're getting to these top tier guys, if 7 wins in the regular season, I mean, if we're going to give Denny Hamlin a good grade for the regular season, he'd be like a 10-time champion by now. He does good in regular season every year. And he's a choker in the playoffs. It is what it is. Moving on.
He's the Dale Jr.
Sadly, yes.
A Dale Jr. that wins more.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we're moving on to Joey Logano because I just want to go ahead and give him the F because I hate him. I don't even want to talk about him.
Joey Logano, can't stand him. He's a punk, you know what? We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, I'm so glad he didn't win. I mean, my God, what a punk.
Give him an
I'll
F,
give him-
right?
I'll give him a C just for the simple fact that he did make it to the Final Four.
He's a closet Joey Logano fan. Closet Joey Logano fan right there, guys.
Oh, my God, Chris. You know better than that.
I'll give him an F. Just because I can't stand
Yeah.
Yes. Really, he had 3 wins on the year and should not have won that Kansas race. I think he was an underperformer. He really done nothing spectacular, and he just snuck his way into the Final Four due to that win in Kansas. And I just cannot stand him.
All right, Brad Keselowski, guys. I think Brad Keselowski, he hung around there all year. He kind of just blended in with everybody, kind of just nothing flashy. He did have 4 wins. Most of those were at the beginning of the season, if I'm not mistaken. But he did not get the trophy this year, guys. I thought he had a good chance going into this race. Even me and Chris had him picked, but I'll give him a A- just because he did run good this year, and he had a solid season. But it kind of feels bad when a guy like that or Denny Hamlin don't come away with the championship after you feel like they deserve it. Him and Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin. So I'm gonna give him a A-.
I'm going to give him an A- as well. I thought he had a decent season. He was one of them sneaky drivers. Never done nothing big time that would pop out on the TV or anything like that. But he had a pretty good season, and was it this season they switched crew chiefs up in Team Penske?
Yeah,
And
he got Ryan Blaney's old crew chief.
And that was an adjustment for him as well because he had a really top-of-the-line crew chief when he made his championship runs. But I think he had a pretty good year.
Well, Brad was my pick to win the championship. He let me down, but I really think he would have won it had his pit crew not sucked that race. Chase did dominate, so I mean, congrats to Chase once again. But I thought Brad, had there been a caution, which we will talk about in a minute, had there been a caution, I think Brad would have came and won that race. I think he's sneaky. He's like a snake in the grass waiting to strike. I'm gonna give him an A-.
All right, D-Train, let you take over here. Okay. Chase Elliott, guys. Finally, NASCAR has another superstar. Got the championship this year. I thought he ran great. Established himself as the best road course racer in the Cup Series by far. Chase Elliott, he don't only just win races, he dominates them most of the time. He's shown on multiple occasions that he can get the job done no matter what. I mean, storybook, he gets put to the end of the field for the championship race and does exactly what he's done so many times. He drives from the back and just absolutely annihilates the field. So I'm gonna give Chase Elliott an A plus plus. Awesome drive, awesome season. Uh, it's really cool to see him do good.
Yeah, I'll commend Chase on a great year. He's now won 4 straight road courses in the NASCAR series. Won 3 road courses this year at Daytona, um, the Roval, or it was just 2, wasn't it? Or was there another one in the field this year? I can't really remember. Anyways, he's won 4 straight. Three of the he won 3 of the last 5 races in the playoffs, so his team was hitting on all cylinders. He was in a must-win situation in the final 8, and he won Martinsville handedly. Started pulling away from all the drivers. Started in the back at I wanted to say Homestead, but at Phoenix. Drove from the back. He's had a bunch of top 5s and a bunch of top 10s. Had 5 wins on the year. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Should have been competing with Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick with most wins. I mean, he gets wrecked at Darlington both races in the lead. He gets wrecked at Las Vegas in the lead. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, but still pleased with my driver. 24 years old. Last time a 24-year-old won the championship was Jeff Gordon. So I'm going to give him A plus plus plus.
Well, that's a shame. Y'all are giving this man an A plus 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 plus. You know, whatever, how many pluses you want to throw on there. I'm gonna give him an E. Just kidding. Let's be honest. It was A plus plus. He done really well. I just want to see what D-Train's face would look like. It looks like he probably wasn't even caring. Because Chase done really well. If Bowen wasn't my favorite driver, it'd probably be Chase. He's obviously, I mean, let's be honest, he's NASCAR's most popular driver. Dominated some races, dominated the playoffs, won 3 of the last 5. A plus. I'll agree with D-Train, and I guess that's the end of that, ain't it?
Yep.
All right, moving on to our final segment. It's been a long one, of course. We're at an hour and 42 minutes right now, but it's going to be the last podcast episode for a little while until we get a little bit closer to the 2021 season. Unless something big happens, then we'll be taking about a 2-month hiatus from the Shake and Bake podcast, as much as that hurts me. I love NASCAR. Make it year-round, yee. So, the new segment from the mouth of D-Train Hyatt in the last episode. I'm going to say this one time. No one else say it, please, because it makes it a whole lot easier for me to edit this. The Punk of the Week. It is. I think we're all in agreement here. We ain't talked about it, but it's Joey Logano. It is Joey Logano. Congrats, Joey Logano. You won our first of the week award. Good job. I'm sure you'll win it 100 more times. He complained. He sought out how, I could have had a caution. I could have had a cautioner at the end of the race. Well, guess what, bub? You lost. It is what it is. So get over it. Get over yourself. You got lucky a couple races this year. That's the only reason he's in the Final Four. So
Why do we hate Joey Logano? Everybody's probably thinking, why do we hate Joey Logano so bad? It's because Joey Logano come for money. He's putting the best rides, and he drives like a punk. He wrecks everybody. He hits everybody. And I'm gonna tell everybody on this podcast right now why I started hating Joey Logano. They always called him sliced bread when he first came in. He was better than sliced bread, about his talent. And he is a good driver. I'm not going to deny him. He's a good driver. He's a good up on the wheel driver. The reason that he came in NASCAR was because Mark Martin noticed him. He was driving some race somewhere, and Mark Martin noticed him. He comes in NASCAR, drives a 20 car, is at Pocono, runs second to who? Mark Martin, who was in the 5 car. He goes up there, and he almost wrecks Mark Martin for the lead and bumps him out of the way and takes the lead from Mark Martin, who gave him his shot in NASCAR. So, you know what? I'm so glad you're this week's punk.
Any bleeps I might have thrown in there. Please do, Train. Don't do it anymore. It's about 6. That's so
Oh,
difficult.
yeah, well, and everybody knows what I feel about him. I said it in the last podcast. But I think Joey Logano he has too much arrogance in his body. I think it's why his well, I'm just not going to go into much that I want to say.
What about his smile?
But that's why everybody wants to absolutely fight him after every race. That's why Tony Stewart always wanted to beat him to death. He's just a punk, and if he can't pass you the right way, he will absolutely slam you in the wall.
Has he done that to Chase before, D-Train?
Yes, he has. And I thought it was even better that how he planned out to wreck a lap car in the Phoenix race to cause a caution. If he'd have done that, I would have flew the Phoenix.
As William Ray would say, you would
Y'all
have
are
dressed
killing
up.
me.
You would have dressed up as a fan, went to meet him, and when he shook your hand, you'd probably would have stabbed him. All right, but I said that was our last segment. That's the last thing we're really going to talk about.
Figuratively stabbing.
I doubt that would do training with you. But so we're going to this is the last thing we're going to talk about real fast in this. A farewell to Jimmie Johnson. Probably the guy, honestly, the reason why I first started watching NASCAR years ago. I started becoming a NASCAR fan probably about 8 years ago. Because every time I was on SportsCenter towards the end of a NASCAR season, you would keep saying Jimmie Johnson wins the Cup Championship. 5 years in a row. Dominated. And in my opinion, he elevated NASCAR to a new limit that no one's ever seen. And in my opinion, he's the GOAT. He unseats Dale Earnhardt. In my opinion, he's the GOAT in NASCAR. And until someone comes along and beats that record, I just don't see it. He's the GOAT. It's been an honor to watch him these last couple of years. And I hate that he just kind of came into this season, didn't really care, and was ready to retire. Wish he would have went out with a bang, win another one. I think that would have been a storybook ending there. But I also think it's a storybook ending that after the race, he kind of passed the torch on to Chase Elliott. So I'll let y'all have your little spiel about that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about Jimmie Johnson. I've been watching NASCAR really early on, about 20 years. When I was about 8 years old, started watching, getting into it because my dad was a big Jeff Gordon fan, and it followed down to me being a big Jeff Gordon fan. But we always loved and respected Jimmie Johnson for how dominant he was. I agree with Chris. I believe he is the GOAT of NASCAR. I believe the competition level with Richard Petty was nowhere near competition level that Jimmie Johnson's having to win through. And Dale Earnhardt had some good competition, but they was all old guys. Jimmie Johnson's had to come into the sport, and he's had to compete against young drivers that make bold moves, that will move you out of the way and do a bunch of crazy stuff. You can't deny Jimmie Johnson has 83 wins, 7 championships. You can't deny that he is not the GOAT of NASCAR. I think it's been awesome to have a person like Jimmie Johnson in NASCAR. You always want to have a superstar that everybody absolutely hates, unless you're a Hendrick or Jimmie Johnson fan, because of him winning and winning. Isn't that right, Nathan? But now all his haters that he had throughout the years now absolutely respect and love Jimmie, and was sad to see him leave. And I think it will be a long time before we have another Jimmie Johnson. I did like the moment in the championship race at the end when him and Chase Elliott stopped and high-fived each other, and it was like passing of the torch. I think Jimmie's had a great career. I don't think anybody could ever take it away. A lot of people are like, well, he just had the best crew chief. Well, I can tell you, you can have a great crew chief, but if you can't wheel a car, I mean, 5 championships in a row, and I believe Jimmie Johnson is the reason NASCAR changed their playoff system to get him to quit winning so many championships.
And guess what? He won it whenever the Chase was first introduced in 2006. They done it that way. Then they changed to let more guys in. They let less guys in. They done this new playoff thing. He's won it in every way you can win it. Um, I was going to say I don't think he's. I'm not yet ready to say he's the goat. Time will tell. I always try to be real easy on that kind of stuff. Guys, I've been a NASCAR fanatic since 2005 when I was about 12 years old. Uh, I hated Jimmie Johnson with a passion. He won too much. He made me sick every time I see a 48 car win. But it's going to be very sad not seeing Jimmie Johnson racing next year. I loved to hate him. And so I have a lot of respect for Jimmie Johnson. I think he has drove against great competition in NASCAR these days. Man, Jimmie Johnson is a wheel man. Nobody can deny it, no matter what anybody says. He won seven championships. I wish he'd have won eight. If he'd have won eight, there'd been no question that he was the best, greatest in NASCAR. But now people are always going to debate those three guys. They have 7 championships. So, but I think he's right up there with the greats of the sport. I think he established himself as a superstar in sports in general, across the board, 7 championships.
Let's be honest. The GOAT tag is between Dale Earnhardt and Jimmie Johnson. Nobody raced against Richard Petty.
Yeah, a lot of people want to hang that Richard Petty thing, but guys, they were sometimes racing up to 3 races a week. He has 200 wins and 7 championships. I mean, it was pretty much him and Pearson there for a long time racing. So, no. And this is about Jimmie Johnson, and I don't want to get off too far and all that stuff. But, man, guys, I almost teared up a little bit that last race watching him make that final lap. Man, I didn't think I'd like him as much. But as D-Train said, the people that hated him, we now love him and respect him. And we're thankful that he was there for our guys to race against all them years because everybody was always trying to beat that 48 car, and most of the time they didn't.
All right, well, for now, that is all we got. It's been a long one. We had a lot of stuff to talk about, reviewing the 2020 season. For now, this will be the last Shake and Bake podcast episode we'll have for a while.